Yes, you saw the title right. I think the College Football Committee got it right for the most part. Let's talk about it. Let's break it down. Because this is new. It's exciting. 12 teams for the first time ever in college football. We have a 12-team playoff bracket. Did they get it perfect? Probably not. But I think they did a good enough job to where I'm happy, at least. I don't know about you. As right before we get into anything, I want you to drop down below. Do you think Alabama and or Miami should have been in the college football playoffs? That's the question I want to ask. Drop a comment down below, and let me tell you why I think they got the college football playoffs pretty much accurate. Are there things I would change? Absolutely. But come on. Somebody is always going to get left out. There's 134 teams in FBS Division I college football, and we only get to send 12 to the playoffs. Yes, there's going to be some arguments. There's going to be something that bugs everybody, right? We're never going to get it perfect like we can in the pro leagues because there's only 30 to 32 teams, right? It's not going to be perfect. And the committee is not a perfect system either. They don't have and why we can't get it perfect like the pros is, yes, there's only 30, 32 teams, but also because it's just set in stone. All right, the top teams based on, if we're looking at the NFL, we're looking at divisions, and then we're looking at straight up records. That's it. And then we can go into tiebreakers, whether it's head-to-head or record against division or conference or whatever it may be. We have those tiebreakers instilled, so we always know who is going to be in the college or in the NFL playoffs. It's set in stone. It doesn't matter. You go play ball, and then it is what it is. It doesn't matter if you had the hardest schedule this year. It doesn't matter if you had the worst schedule this year. You just go play and you win and you get into the playoffs, okay? And if we look at it in the NBA, no, they don't have division, so we don't always have division winners. But we can still see, okay, this is the best record in the Eastern Conference or the Western Conference. It is what it is. Cut and dry. Again, tiebreakers if need be. In college football, it's up to a group of people to decide who they think, opinion-based, should be in. Who are the top 12 teams in college football, and not necessarily anymore the top 12, because we still have to have the 5 top conference champions. Okay, and that makes it especially difficult when you include teams like Notre Dame, who are completely independent and don't have conferences. It is what it is. And when some conferences are stacked a little bit more than others, all right? We all know that the SEC thinks they're the big dog, the Big Ten thinks they're the big dog, and that they don't think very highly of the Big 12 or the ACC currently, and especially not the Mountain West or the American Conference or whatever, okay? So we're always going to have that debate as well. But really, what is the perfect system? Are we going to go strictly off of strength of schedule? Who's got the highest quality wins? Because then, yeah, Alabama has a valid argument, right? SMU has beat 0 ranked opponents. The only ranked opponent they really played all year was Clemson and BYU. Lost both of those games. Clemson, I let it go a little bit. All right, because in my mind, if we look at Alabama's 3 losses, SMU only has the 1 loss because SMU's second loss came in a conference championship. Alabama didn't even reach their conference championship. I don't think they should be knocked for a loss. If Clemson absolutely destroyed them, that's another conversation. And they were absolutely destroying them in the first half of that football game, but SMU marched back, came back, and fought their way just to lose by a game-winning field goal from a true freshman from over 50 yards. Okay, it was a great kick, great ball game, and SMU squeaked in these playoffs. Alabama had 3 losses. Another team we could talk about if we're talking about just the validity of wins, off the quality of wins, and that's Indiana, right? Indiana also beat 0 ranked opponents. Okay, they played Ohio State. They got worked by Ohio State. It wasn't close. I believe it was in the shoe, so that gives some credit to Indiana, but I don't know. Is that more than Alabama, more than Miami? There's a reason why Indiana and SMU are ranked 10 and 11 respectively, because that's the lowest they possibly could be, because 12 was taken out by Clemson, who, it's a miracle they got in the college football playoffs, but they got the automatic bid, so they had to be the 12th seed. Everybody knew that was going to happen. So what do you think? Miami with their 2 losses, Alabama with their 3 losses. Yes, they had quality wins, including one over Georgia. All right. Yes, they play in the SEC, and they had some tougher competition. They beat Auburn. I believe they played LSU, right? Or do we just go off of who's got the best record, right? And in that case, then yes, SMU should be in because they had 1 loss up until the conference championship. Indiana only had 1 loss all season long, whereas Miami had 2, and Alabama had 3, including losses to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma, both 500 teams. Yes, their loss to Tennessee isn't horrible because Tennessee is the 9th-ranked team in this college football playoffs. But they also lost to Oklahoma, who was 5-5 at the time, or 4-5 at the time, or whatever it was, and then Vanderbilt as well. I mean, and the Vanderbilt was 1 week after beating Georgia, who was number 1 at the time. Alabama went up to number 1 and then lost 3 times. Okay, I don't understand what's so hard. Like, yes, I get Bama's a big brand. They got probably the best high school recruits, sure, but you got 3 losses. You shouldn't be in the college football playoffs. You already lost too many times to count to be in the playoffs. I mean, that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. Now Alabama's going out, making a big deal, making a fuss. Their AD coming out and saying, oh, we're going to schedule some weaker non-conference games. First off, all of your losses were in conference. All 3 of them were in conference. So what do you mean you're talking about scheduling weaker non-conference games? That doesn't even make sense. And yes, we have to find a way that we have to validate strength of schedule and how many losses you have together. All right? Yes, I agree that if Indiana didn't play anybody, that they should still be about the 10th seed. If you take out that Ohio State loss, but you switch that Ohio State game with, let's say, another Big Ten team who was lower in the Big Ten, that makes sense of why we shouldn't why Indiana shouldn't be one of the higher seeds. But should they still get in the playoffs? Absolutely. They ran their schedule. They did what they had to do. I don't know. What is the perfect way? Leave it down below if you got a solution, because I don't. Obviously, the committee doesn't, because we can't figure out what is the ideal way to rank teams. We tried a computer during the BCS days. People hated the computer. We asked for a committee, essentially. We said get rid of it because the computer will take all the stats and just pop it out. But we need to see the eye test go into that. Do we go back to a computer? Probably. I think that's honestly the best solution. If you want to get away from all this opinion-based stuff, we got to go back to the computer. It is what it is, because we will never get equivalent schedules that we can just go based off on a win-loss record like we can in the NFL. Yes, some teams are going to have easier schedules in the NFL than others, but we aren't complaining about it all the time. Are we? No, we're not. I mean, think about it. The Houston Texans get to play the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Indianapolis Colts, and the Tennessee Titans twice a year. That's 6 games. That's a third of their schedule. And those teams are not very good. And they haven't been very good throughout most of history. Okay? We could say the same things about the San Francisco 49ers. They got to play the Arizona Cardinals, the Rams, the Seahawks, who haven't always been the greatest of teams. Yes, the Rams had a Super Bowl. Yes, the Seahawks had a dynasty for a second. Like, obviously there's exceptions. But, I mean, come on. The NFC North is almost always decent. Okay? The NFC East is usually always decent. Maybe not right now. The Eagles are running that, but the Commanders ain't bad. It's crazy. You will never find a perfect system in college football. So no, this isn't perfect. Should Alabama be in? I don't think so. Especially not over SMU. I would give you more of an argument over Ohio or Indiana, but not over SMU. SMU had 1 loss, and it was a week 1 loss to BYU, who was a ranked team this season, and then lost in their conference championship, something that the Bama Crimson Tide didn't even reach. right? Is it more of an accomplishment to reach in the SEC than the ACC this year? Absolutely. But it is what it is. I'm cool with it. I think the bracket worked out as pretty much as cleanly as it possibly could have. Could you have swapped out Alabama and SMU or Indiana? Yes. Yes. What would we take away from that? That SEC, Big Ten teams are always going to get more teams in because of brand, because of conference, because of prestige. Whereas ACC, Big 12, they're always going to struggle to get teams, right? Brand over resume? Prestige over resume? You tell me. You tell me. It's also just so very different because we're never going to get equivalent state schedules, right? How can we fix this problem? That is my question for you because I don't know. And I don't think anybody knows. And if we did, we wouldn't have this problem year in and year out. But we're going to have this problem year in and year out. But I think this year they got it pretty much right. Let me know down below what you think. Who do you think is going to win the 12-team college football playoffs? It's exciting. It's coming. It's coming soon. And I couldn't be more thrilled about it.